She is doing and well enough to speak to her father on the phone. She's in a hospital in Moroni, the capital of the Grand Comoros. Bahia Bakari, as you mentioned, a 13-year-old girl who's of French nationality with Comoran descent. She was on that plane, that ill-fated plane from Sana'a in Yemen to the Comoros. When the plane was approaching it, it bailed out of its landing, according to reports and according to officials, and crashed into the ocean in the early morning. Absolutely miraculous, given the fact that the French government or the French officials saying very few or very little, if no chance, to find other survivors. So of the 153 people on board that plane, it seems that there's just one survivor, this young teenager girl. Her father in Paris had heard the conflicting reports all day of different ages of survivors that might have come through. He was extremely happy when he got the news, but also conflicted himself because his wife was on that plane.
I never thought they would be found alive. It was already confusing because at first we heard it was a 5-year-old child and me who has a 13-year-old child. I was not going to ask myself if it was maybe my daughter, but then later I was told it was indeed my daughter who was rescued. It was a relief for everybody, but it's grieving for her mom who vanished.
Well, a terrible and also a hopeful day for that family. Kasim Bahari talking there. You know, he spoke to his daughter late last night on the phone. She told him the ordeal, saying that, you know, that this was, I don't know what happened, she said, but the plane fell into the water and I found myself in the water. I heard people speaking, but I could not see them. I found myself surrounded by darkness and I couldn't see anyone. Manita, it seems that rescuers then found her clinging to a part of that debris at this stage, miraculously, and quite unfortunate for all the other families, of course. She's the only survivor to have survived this deadly crash. Manita?
David, what more is being said about what caused this crash?
Well, officials in Yemen and also in the Comoros were very quick to blame the weather yesterday morning. They said that the strong winds, 60-kilometer or around 45-mile-an-hour winds that were sweeping across the runway had something to do with this plane bailing out, this Airbus A310 from Yemeni Airways. However, the French government and certainly the families of the Comorans who are on that flight have been pretty angrily saying that this flight, this airplane, didn't have the correct features on it. They said it was in disrepair. This flight, these people originated, many of them, from France and then changed planes in Yemen before going to the Comoros Islands. And the plane they got onto, they say, was often in a bad state. But it's very early to tell. The black boxes or the voice and data recorders, as you mentioned, have been located. It will be challenging for them to find them in the Indian Ocean. But they will be the ultimate answer as to what really did happen, whether it was pilot error, a case of the weather, or some kind of malfunction.